From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 232 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. If you were categorizing our podcast, we are comedy, culture, entertainment, and sometimes interviews. In this episode, we talk a lot about food because we try some, and then we talk about some, and then we talk about hunting and football. But for people not into hunting and football, there's lots of other things jammed on in there that are worth listening to. So make sure you enjoy this episode because we have a lot of fun.
I didn't like that.
Squidgy.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle After Dark over here.
In episode 230, we talked about scenes in TV shows and movies that make us hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of started talking about scenes in TV shows and movies that make us want to try foods that perhaps we hadn't tried. Kendall, after watching Mafia show Sopranos, was into the gabagool and gabacola. Oh wait, that's the same thing. And meats. And so I brought something this evening. It's the first of many things I think we're going to try this evening.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That is from a show that made me want to try this thing. So I told you guys I got into K-dramas. Was this last year or earlier this year? And I watched Itaewon Class on Netflix. It's
right.
It takes place in Korea. And the lead character in the show and his father regularly sit down to soju.
Is that like Korean Pepsi or?
Ooh.
They call it the vodka of Korea. It is a fermented white rice spirit. It is half of the alcohol content as vodka.
Okay.
And in the show, when he sits down with his father and the son is trying it for the first time, he said, it tastes bitter. And that's because he has unresolved issues in his life. And the father's goal for his son is that one day the soju would taste sweet, signifying that he has resolved the issues in his life. So tonight we're going to try some soju. So turn your soju glass. These are not shot glasses. These are soju glasses. There's a big difference. Don't ask me what that difference is right now. I think it's the style of the glass somewhat, but the ounces are maybe different. I'm just going to pretend.
Okay.
These aren't shot glasses. I got it from a Korean market.
Okay. Did they tell you that these are not shot glasses?
The label said not shot glasses, soju glasses.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Get it right or pay the price.
So we're going to try soju as we catch up. If you haven't guessed by now, we're back in studio for the first time in a long time.
Indeed we are.
And we are going to enjoy that. Let me remove my cans.
It's been a while. Cans he's talking about. He doesn't have a removable ass.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty sweet though. He's talking about headphones. Go ahead, Dillon.
Am I to try it? Is that what you mean?
I don't know. I feel like I interrupted you to make a really stupid joke.
Gentlemen, to soju being sweet. Clink.
All right.
Clink. It's just a sipper. You don't shoot it. It's not very strong.
It's not very strong at all.
It's nice and smooth.
It is vodka-y, but watery.
Give that little bit of sweet.
Well, that's the wrong word.
It turns out the sweetness was the culture that we learned along the way.
Yeah. So, how are you guys? What the heck has been going on? It feels like there's a lot to catch up on. We've had a holiday betwixt
There's been
our last session and now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Still no updates on the local Bojangles that I'm waiting to open. We're going to try it someday, gentlemen. And the other day we were driving by, and out of nowhere I hear from my 5-year-old in the back seat, "Sure would love to try Bojangles someday." I'm like, even she's growing impatient. And I honestly thought she had forgotten about it after I mentioned it the first time. So that's a big update. That's a non-update. You're right. I did bring things to try. We can sip for a bit, or we can jump right in after other updates. It's up to you.
I say we try things.
Yeah, let's try.
Let's try, and then we'll hop into. Man, it's a busy time of year. I feel like this, like right now, it's like every week we're gonna have catch-up time. Mm-hmm. We have this boring time where we put out the crappy episodes kind of in the middle of the year.
Yeah,
and then on the ends of the year, it's like every life explodes.
Here it comes, folks.
For all the catch-up time, we need mustard time too, is what I think.
So for those of you who joined us in June and have been thinking, what is this? And you keep listening, trying to figure it out. It's I'm not promising anything, but we're probably going to have a good episode today. So
easy there. Come on now. Don't be writing checks. Your body can't cash.
Our lawyer has advised us to make no promises. It's so funny that you brought this in. I brought its traditional mixed flavor and counterpart without having any idea that you were going to be bringing in soju.
Ooh.
And that is Earn Brew Soda from Scotland, which is known traditionally throughout the world as the favorite mixer for soju. So we can try. We're going to try.
What are the odds of that?
I don't know. It's nutty that you.
Earn Brew.
Yeah, that's what it is. It honestly looks like if the University of Illinois was trying to brand their own orange soda. Like the logo looks just like it's IRNBRU, not Iron Brew or Earn Brew soda, which I'm very excited to try.
And I will tell you, for those not watching on the YouTubes, that the color is that of, let's just say if you were to go to the bathroom, you would say, boy, I need to drink more water. Is it yellow? No, it's so yellow it's golden.
Yeah, I would say apple juice.
Yeah.
But, you can go with urine if you want.
Yeah, a little orange food coloring into apple juice. For how much criticism Americans get for artificial flavors and colors, I'm surprised that this comes out of Scotland. We'll put it that way.
Well, Scotland
is different than the color that it is.
Don't be surprised in the whiskey world. Oh, I have.
You need his cup. If you're gonna give him your cup, you need his cup.
Oh, yeah.
There's a cup. We're swapping cups. How many podcast hosts does it take to pour the soju mixer?
In the whiskey world, Scotland is one of the few places where their governing bodies for alcohol give them the big okay on dyeing their whiskeys, coloring their whiskeys.
That's fine.
We don't do that here.
So this is going to be a delicious tour through the United Kingdom. We have Jaffa cakes, are very, very popular. Spongy cakes covered in dark chocolate with that squidgy, orangey center.
What is? Wait, stop.
Squidgy.
Squidgy?
Squidgy.
Spell that.
Like squid with a GY. Squidgy. Very excited. These are made in Ireland, I believe, but they're eaten all over. So you go ahead and open the Jaffa cakes. You know why I know of Jaffa cakes? Because Tom Holland talked about them on an interview once where they were comparing food, and it's like one of his favorite snacks. I don't know that it's this brand, but...
Whoa. Presentation. Coming at you.
All right, you hear a lot about digestives. We've got some McVitie's digestives.
Digestives?
Yep, milk chocolate flavor coating, and they're coated wheat biscuits.
Because we just passed issue 2 here in Ohio, and we can do that now.
Yep, these are
starting on December 5th.
Wheat biscuits?
Wheat biscuits, digestive.
Oh, wheat biscuits.
Wheat biscuits.
Wheat biscuits. Okay.
Lots of food.
And then Claire's Irish shortbread.
Mary Poppins of snacks.
Made with Irish butter. Yep, it's all just coming out of my Michael Kors. And these are made in Ireland, I believe. So we're really taking a nice tour around the UK with our snacks.
It's wonderful.
I'd like to just say thank you to Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati for this nice little
Did I hit the space bar?
cornucopia of United Nations that we're sampling today.
This is wonderful.
And you went with the sweet treats. I see.
Well, that's what they had that I like recognized. You know, sometimes you see things and you're like, I'm not exactly sure.
Oh,
no.
the little shamrocks.
I'm probably most excited for the Jaffa cake to try the squidginess.
Are we not recording?
No, we're recording, but I failed to massage the iPad often enough.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh yeah,
Here comes your Irish shortbread. I'll throw it at
beautiful.
you this time.
I would expect that to be the least offensive to an American if they're
We're just gonna
not open to different things.
Just gonna get rid of it here.
Has anybody tried the Earn Brew yet?
I didn't know if we were doing it together.
I've been waiting.
No, yeah, good. Dig
Okay.
in. Yeah, just
Okay, let's up with the Brew.
yeah. Thank you.
Oh, that is delightful. That is Smarties.
It's weird. It's good and weird.
Oh yeah.
You know, it reminds me a little of like High C. Maybe like a carbonated, like a lot less sugary High C.
It reminds me a little bit of Red Bull.
Is that what it is? Interesting.
I mean, Red Bull is tartar, but it's. I feel like it's in the family.
It makes sense though that it would be less sugary and more tart. It's very American to shove a bunch of sugar in a soda.
No, neither Red Bull is not American.
No, I'm talking about this drink.
Oh, is this drink is American?
No, it's not. Earn Brew is Scottish. I'm saying it's very
Gotcha.
American with our sodas to put tons of sugar in them, and this is not super sweet.
Yeah,
It is. It is much more mild. Kory's got a flavor profile. He's trying to.
My neighbors from Israel would bring this tamarind syrup that they would mix the tamarind syrup to water and put it over ice in the summer as for like a cool, refreshing drink. I'm picking up a bit of tamarind.
Okay, yeah,
in there.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Tamarind. I had we were at a Mexican restaurant for the first time at this Mexican restaurant, and I saw that they had tamarind. The I forget what it's called. There's the Mexican soda brand. It's like Jalito or
Jumex. Oh, yeah. There's a
glass
couple
bottles. I forget, but
Jarrito.
I got a tamarind flavor of that.
Yeah,
it was pretty tasty.
All right. So next on the list was the
squidgy Jaffa cake.
Jaffa cake.
Jaffa cakes.
Here's to Tom Holland.
Oh wow.
You know, it's weird. You almost don't taste the chocolate. At least I don't.
Yeah,
it's much softer than I was expecting.
It is much softer than I was expecting as well.
There's a little chocolate at the end.
Yeah,
it's like they took one of those orange Hostess cupcakes and squished it down into a cookie, and then just put the littlest bit of dark chocolate on the top.
I was going to say either the Valentine's Day or Christmas chocolate package. That one is like orange flavored. There's always an orange flavored chocolate in that mix when you're like lifting them up to see what they all taste like. I get that.
I appreciate how soft the cookie is. The sponginess makes sense that it referred to.
With a squidgy cake beneath
squidgy, orangey center. 10 spongy cakes.
All right.
Yeah. That's really good. And I appreciate each cookie, each cake has only 7 grams of sugar, which I feel like is not off the charts.
Moving over to the McVitie's digestives.
Got to do the digestive. I got 2.
Now, that word in food product packaging.
Uh-huh.
I kind of feel like Dillon's trying to prank us. Is that what you're...
They're just, it's really on the nose.
Just high in fiber?
Maybe because do we hear digestive and think laxative?
Yes.
Is that what
like this is this a food supplement that people need to do certain things in their bodies?
If we take a weird number of breaks in this episode, you'll all know why.
There's a lot of cuts in there, I think.
That's a nice texture.
Mm.
I like that.
I like this better than
I
the
wonder if
squidgy
this is
cookie.
I wonder if this is a coffee dipper. Mm.
I like it.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm a fan.
It might be an easy pooper, this one. What'd you say? Sorry,
She's
coffee
an
dipper?
easy pooper.
It's really nice. I appreciate the softness of their desserts. Everything we have in a package is usually rock hard and cracker-like.
Mm-hmm.
You're crunchy. You're biting and crunching into a lot of our packaged cookies and things.
All right, I'm going to try the last one. The
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Irish shortbread
I love shortbread.
made by Claire's.
I recently
This
found
looks-
out that I like Irish butter.
Yeah, made with.
Land O'Lakes?
No.
No, what's the one?
Kerrygold?
Kerrygold. There you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't believe it's not Kerrygold.
Oh,
Very
Wow.
light.
That's great.
for
Very
a
light.
shortbread, it's very, very light.
Very nice.
Now, for all the tea drinkers, if anyone knows, they'll have to weigh in. Is this the kind of neutral-ish cookie, and maybe the digestives that are the tea cookies, if you're having something? This is what I imagine. Something that's not super sweet and sugary.
I found out last year around this time that I really enjoy shortbread cookies and tea together in the evening. Like 2 cookies and a cup of tea.
Well, look at us becoming some old men.
Yeah.
You should join me for corn nuts at the convenience store. It's a great time. We'll people watch together and go antiquing.
Dude, that's the kind of thing that I could spend an afternoon.
Speaking of old men, I have a story related to the cookies. By the way, if you're fans of any of these things, or they're great, and I would try all of them again. And if you're not, go try them. Go find an international shop.
I'm going to ask some of my European colleagues about each of these.
Maybe
and get
snap
some,
a photo and send it to them.
get some stories.
And get some, see what they think. Speaking of being an old man, Bree wanted a bagel, so we were close to Tim Hortons. We drove through, find the bagel on the menu. It says they've only got a couple flavors. I give her, hey, bagel's $1.99, couple flavors. What do you want?
Sure.
She just says original toasted with cream cheese. Great. I order that. And the guy says like $4, some change, almost $4. And I went, he must have, because I had started to order a smoothie and they said they were out. That's the other part of the story. So we did the bagel, asked for a smoothie. They didn't have a smoothie. So he said just the bagel. Then he said something almost $4. And I thought, that's not right. Maybe he thought I wanted coffee or something else. And we get to the window. I said, I'm sorry, the bagel was $1.99. What else? What else was on there? And he said, you wanted cream cheese, right?
Yep.
And I, like an old man, I literally did a out loud in his face because of the price of the cream cheese.
Yeah.
Basically doubled the cost of the bagel.
Yep.
All but doubled. And I did this sort of old man laugh in your face over the price.
Yeah.
And
It's ridiculous.
it's obscene. And I was like, I can't believe that there's people out here charging this, and this is a business.
Mhm.
You think that's a thing that comes with it. If you order, that should be like in the price. And if you don't want it, they just don't give it to you.
Right.
And I did the old man like a one big ha in his face. Not even intentionally, completely involuntary. It just came out. And I thought that's a very like old manish thing to complain about the price of cream cheese. And so I had no idea. I never buy bagels. So I had no clue. I'm like, for that, I could go buy a tub of cream cheese, I feel like, and have my own whole tub of it.
Well, you're welcome to do it, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be my answer to you.
Yeah. So next time,
Do that.
next time Bree tells me that she wants a bagel, I'm going to do that and then walk into Aldi and bring out the cream cheese that she wants on it with a knife.
Yeah.
And say, here's your cream cheese.
Right.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
So I had my old man moment earlier.
Go to Aldi first and get a tub of cream cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Drive through Tim Hortons, order a plain toasted bagel with nothing on it.
And a plastic
get
knife.
Get up to the window and say, "Here, can you put some of this on there?"
Here's a knife, some cream cheese. Can you put this on immediately after you toast it? And then hand it back through the window.
Yes, I
please?
bring my own schmear.
I know a guy who brings his own cheese to Five Guys because he doesn't like American cheese.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally will bring his own cheese to Five Guys.
That's unfortunate, too, because part of their shtick in charging so much is because you can literally get extra every single topping
Yeah.
at no additional charge. Even bacon. You can get 8 strips of bacon if you want on your burger, and it's built into the price. It's too bad because he could say, give me a lot of cheese if he liked it, but you got to do his thing. What does he take out of curiosity?
That I don't know. I don't know.
And they need to find out what cheese, if he's not an American cheese person,
I can find out.
that if he what does he have to
that
take?
important.
It's like a Colby Jack, or it is. Yeah, I'd really like to.
Inquiring
You
minds.
said, you son of a, you said that sarcastically, like, clearly if I say if it's that important, he's going to go, no, you really did. Yes, it is. It is that important. I do want to know.
Listen, remember like 3 years ago when we talked about that Five Guys thing? Well, I said it to someone else, and he threatened me.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Look, I have put myself out there for this show over and over and over again. Just one time, I'd like to know when I hear a funny story. That's weird. I have a follow-up question to that.
I hear you.
We promised each other that we would ask these questions when people do things that we find socially interesting.
That's true.
So-
Yeah.
That's true. So I need to go.
And
back.
I failed at it my first time.
Okay, 3 cookie desserts and a drink. What was your favorite of the 4? Oh, the soju.
Oh, no, that's a separate thing. That's just our sipper as we episode.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta,
I'm going to say the shortbread cookie for me,
this is very good.
and it's just the genre for me.
Yeah, I did have to bring my own butter for the shortbread cookie, but
Did I lose you?
Hello,
am I gone?
Bueller.
Am I dead? Oh no.
Oh wait, no, we're good. It's me.
I'm
Okay.
going to go with.
It's not you, it's me.
I have to include the pop with the cakes.
Sure. Yes, and then no. I don't care.
I'm going to go with the Iron Brie. And a
Iron
close second, only because it's in desperate need of a name change. The digestives. I really like
digestives
them.
were-
Yeah.
They're probably number
nice.
2 for me.
Very close. Shortbread and digestive.
More poop.
Shortbread and digestive. Very close. 1 and 1. I'm not picking a 2. I would
Yeah.
I would take both again without preference. If somebody offered me one or the other, wouldn't matter.
I did a so I love shortbread, and getting the shortbread, which is basically like shortbread is crunchy butter. That's what you're eating, and which I enjoy. And I had a thought because I've heard like online chefs, a few of them mention Kerrygold as being like the butter, the only one that they buy, and others that are like, yeah, I've got like a butter guy at a farm somewhere, and that's the only butter I use. And I'm like, and butter, apparently not. And so literally just a couple days ago, my wife came home. She knew that I was curious about this. And so I had told her, like, if you see a good deal on fancy butter, I want to try some fancy butter. And she came home with a box of Kerrygold and a box of like Vermont something organic, whatever. And then just the normal Kroger stuff that we always have. And did a side by side blind taste test just on a plain piece of bread. And Kerrygold came. The taste between Kroger butter and the other two was pretty different, quite noticeable. I think most people would notice a difference. And the Kerrygold was my favorite. It had what I would construe as like almost like a tangy, gamey kind of flavor to it that the other two didn't quite have. Yeah. The difference was not nearly large enough to justify spending that kind of money on butter. So I'm
'Cause
not
it
like
is-
a Kerrygold guy. I'm still a Kroger butter guy, but I did appreciate it. I appreciated it.
It's funny you mentioned that. So our grandfather, so this is our grandma that passed away last year. This is him and her husband. And grandma was, let's say, very frugal, a penny pincher, coupon cutter. And my mom and her siblings are trying to like introduce foods to our grandpa now that are of a higher quality that he would never have not been allowed to buy before, but would have been an over-the-top expense.
Right. Just not part of their...
To grandma, and she would never have allowed that on a regular basis. And Kerrygold butter was one of the first things that they're like, Dad, you have to. And he's like, oh my. Like, it's a whole new world. Stepping up your butter game. If you're after a gamey butter.
I don't know if that's the right word for it, but that's what happened in my mind. It was
go
like,
for that Kerrygold, baby. That's where it's at.
Has a little bit of that farm flavor in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like
You got to mix a little bit of the animal poop in when you're making the butter.
It's like,
come on, man.
What a barn smells like, you just take a hint of that.
Not selling it.
And put it into the flavor.
Yeah. Well,
of what you're...
First you give the animals digestives, and then the butter that comes out.
And then you churn it, and that's what Kerrygold butter is.
Is incredible.
I'm going to do us all a favor and change subjects with the hinge point being gaminess. So it is Gun Week here in Ohio, and that means it is the main time of the year, not the only time of the year, but certainly the main time of the year where you are allowed to hunt white-tailed deer with either a shotgun, a rifle, or a muzzleloader. And I decided that this year was the first year that I was going to take my son, who is 8, hunting with me. So Sunday, after church, we packed up the car with all of our gear and drove an hour and a half northwest to the same grandfather's house, who is now enjoying the richness that is Kerrygold butter. And we set up our blind, which is just a very simple pop-up camouflage blind, put some cargo netting around it to disguise it a little bit, to be revisited in the morning for the first day, opening day of Gun Week. The temperature was set to be 25, 26 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour winds right into the front of the blind.
Perfect.
And so it meant I had to go buy Case some proper clothing. And he was so excited. And to commemorate the experience, I got him a blaze orange, hunter's orange trapper's hat with like rabbit fur on the ear and on the front. And he was all excited. He's even going to bring his BB gun, knowing full well that he's not going to shoot anything with it. In fact, Daddy's going to remove all the BBs so that doesn't make a lot of noise as we're walking toward the woods. So, at night, I said, "Hey, buddy, you excited?" He goes, "It's pretty dark out there." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, Are we gonna walk into that when it's still dark?" Because I told him that that's the most intimidating part of hunting for me, is that you're going out an hour and a half before sunrise. You've got to find your tree stand. You got to try to be quiet. At any moment, you could spook a deer. They will blow. That can be alarming. So I'm, trying to tell him what could happen, but it's no big deal, buddy, because guess what? I got this little tag on my backpack. You're just going to hold on to that tag, and we're going to walk together. If I stop, you stop. The blind is on this edge of the woods. It's going to be great. So we wake up. "Hey, buddy, it's 6 a.m. It's time to go." Big smile on his face. So excited. Grandpa didn't have much at his house, just a bunch of Kerrygold butter to eat for breakfast. So we threw in a cold piece of pizza in Case's pocket, and we geared up, and we headed out there. Sun comes up. It is brutal cold, man. It's blowing right in the blind, and he's all excited, and we're sitting there. It's just so cold and so windy, and his glasses would fog up anytime we tried to put them on, so we had to take those off. So he doesn't really need them to see, but he needs them to read, and he was getting bored, so he's like, "We're gonna read a book. Sun's up now we can see the whole field." It's a great time. We're sitting there, and I had told him earlier that one of my favorite parts of Gun Week is that as the sun rises, you're allowed to shoot 30 minutes before sunrise. I said, "Son, you'll start hearing gunfire over the horizon, and that means guys are seeing deer, and deer are going to be moving, which increases the odds of deer coming our way, because deer are going to be running, and it's really exciting." 30 minutes goes by after sunrise. An hour goes by. He goes, "Are you sure this is Gun Week?" I said, "Yeah, buddy, it is. We're not seeing anything. We're not." Now he's getting really antsy, and he wants to read. But if he wants to read or play on my phone, he has to take his gloves off, and it's brutal cold.
Yeah.
So he takes his gloves off for a minute until I see him shaking. and I'm like, "Hey, man, why don't you just, like," because we're whispering the whole time, "why don't you just curl up right there in front of me? The blind will break the wind, and you can just take a little nap. The ground's really cold." "Okay, buddy." So I see he's really struggling. And it's now been 2.5 hours. And I go, hey, buddy, you ready to go inside? And he goes, I'm sorry. I know you really wanted to do this, but I can't feel my hands or my feet. And my heart breaks. And I grab his little cheeks, red cheeks. And I said, son, why didn't you say something sooner? I know you really wanted to do this. And I said, son, you are my priority. And to be honest, I'd be happy to go inside right now, too. So anyway, he really enjoyed everything about it other than the frigid temperatures.
Yeah.
And he said, can we please go out another time when it's not so cold? I went out that afternoon, didn't see anything. I'm still going to go back out later this week. But man, it was just seeing the excitement and the fact that he was brave enough to try it. The fact that he walked into a pitch black woods in the middle of the night before sunrise was fun. And the commemorative trapper's hat and all of that was still a good time. But I'm like, we can go in September, right? He's like, I like that a lot better.
Yeah.
So anyway, making memories, having a good time, and just thought that was cute. I felt so bad that he felt like he couldn't tell me sooner, though.
That's fun. It's a good story. I had we've got time. So over the weekend, we have this thing that we've talked about before. Did the same thing again this year. Black Friday, my wife and the kids go down to Cincinnati to be with her parents and do Thanksgiving there while I'm decorating the house for Christmas.
Yeah.
And but on Friday evening, I was invited to meet up with some friends to play D&D for the first time since like high school. And so I, like a couple weeks prior, like I had to like find a store that, like, you used to be able to find nerd dice at Hobby Lobby. You can't anymore.
What?
And so, or at least I couldn't. Looked at two different Hobby Lobbies, but there's a gaming store in town that I was able to go in and get some, and just like talking to my wife, but I just call them nerd dice because it's just easier to say it that way. I don't know what else, like RPG dice or whatever. Nerd dice is kind of tongue in cheek.
It covers it,
and I like it. And after I'd bought them and convinced the cashier that they were for a friend, I get home and I have them just sitting on an end table next to the couch. And my daughter was just like, "Hey, Dad, are those your nerd dice?" completely fun and innocent. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to let you roll with that. These are nerd dice.
No pun intended.
And, but yeah, went and played D&D. Was really nerdy. And, but I enjoy it. Like, I wish D&D is one of those things that, like, the only people who make fun of it are people who've never tried it.
Yeah.
And it's not LARPing. Like, it's not that. But even that, D&D makes me realize that I'm sure that's a lot of fun if you get into it.
It's one more step.
Yeah.
Let's go get some foam weapons and do this same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, tabletop role-playing games are legitimately a blast.
Yeah.
I enjoy them a whole lot. My character, since we're talking about Canada and Tim Hortons, and my character is a human barbarian from the Great White North, and his name is Timothy Ho.
Nice.
So that's what I put together for that. That's the end of that story.
Well, when we sat down with James Taylor to talk about D&D,
yeah.
What did he say? Something like, "Hey, turbo virgins," or something
like that. Yeah.
We said we should sit in on a game and like vlog the experience and just like, see what it's all about.
Yeah, see what it's all about.
Tim Ho from the Great White North.
There's so much that I had forgotten about D&D, some details and things. So I kind of feel like I'm learning over again here.
Lily, my oldest, just asked last week. She's like, "I need to find a group of like cool nerds who will let me learn D&D."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where to go to find these people. I'm like, there's a lot of shops I can point you to.
Yeah.
Where you'll find.
When you walk into a certain kind of shop and there's like 8 or 10 white picnic tables at the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's for, Lily.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where they play their games.
The shop that I went into, the tables were right there in the front.
Yeah.
Even.
Yep.
They're getting brazen.
Well, I was like, well, your cousins play. They can invite you to, what do they call them? Not a match, a
Campaign?
Yeah. In fact, speaking of cool gamer, geek, nerd shops, I was getting coffee at our town's first coffee shop on the square. First proper sit down, nice, take your time, open your laptop, do a couple hours of work, have a meeting coffee shop, not a Panera or Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
Right next door, I see a sign, Paradise Hobbies. What's this all about? And I was with Lily, and I go, we should check that out. So there's no storefront. You have to walk up a flight of stairs above the coffee spot. And it's like everything we talk about in most of these episodes.
Mm-hmm. Marvel
shirts, Funko Pops, D&D stuff, Pokemon cards, action figures. I start texting both of you guys. That's what that day when I was blowing up your phones with all the, do you want this one? Do you want this one? Do you want this one? Look what else they have.
Is that where your Take Your Pallbearer thing came from?
It's not, but
okay.
I did get
that
one.
Would have been a good
I did get one
to
that
the story.
I got the Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the one that the comics where you don't know which turtle survived, and he's got the weapons of all the others. They had the last Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figure, so I got that one there. Anyway, talk to the owner. He's gonna come on the show, be a guest. Because I was like, we got to get the word out. How long have you been here? He's like, over a year. And I'm like, I didn't even know you were here.
No
and
kidding.
You're a stone's throw from my house. So Paradise Hobbies in Sunbury, Ohio. Check them out online. Buy some stuff from there if you're into the geek culture stuff. Support a small business. And his brother, who's the main owner, is currently overseas with the military. So military owned, small business, geek culture stuff. I mean, could it get any better? So anyway. Little plug for those guys.
All right. We'll have more fantastic, wonderful content for your ears.
And no chewing.
And no more chewing, we promise. Oh, wait, the whole lawyer thing.
Yeah.
No promises about the chewing. Breathing noises are likely to happen after we hear from some of our friends in Alpods Media.
Hey, this is Russ.
This is Kyle.
This is Michelle.
From the Infectious Groove Podcast. Join us every Monday for the most fun you can have with a music podcast. The Infectious Groove Podcast uses a positive and fun approach as we take time every week to share our jammy jams, then dig into a thought-provoking topic discussing all decades and genres of music. You can find the Infectious Groove Podcast on all major podcast platforms, or you can head to infectiousgroovepodcast.com to find us there and subscribe. We might have a controversial opinion here or there, but we always have fun with it.
Oh, I'm sure I'll say something dumb.
Subscribe to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Did you guys watch any sports over the weekend?
Nah, there we go. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
Did you?
Ohio State, Michigan.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
watched that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of nutcrackers.
I did like that the flyover was a spy plane. That was funny. That was funny trolling that they did. It really was a spy plane. And they definitely did do that on purpose.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That is fun.
But the game was not fun for 2 out of the 3 of us, and I'm really glad we didn't make another weird food bet on this one. I'm done watching college football for the rest of the season and immediately switched over to Formula One to watch the last race of the Formula One season. But you guys go ahead and talk about it and get it.
Let's talk about America's team.
Okay, Harbaugh.
Hurts so hard. Oh God.
I think that when you think about, I mean, if you really stop, no, it was fine. We made some mistakes and it lost us the game. Both teams played pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate Michigan was willing to try some fun plays, go for it on 4th down.
Sure.
You didn't make any major mistakes. You won the game. We made a couple mistakes, lost the game. Were some of the calls questionable? Yeah, but that happens every
game.
Every game that's close, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go your way. Michigan fans would probably say several of our 8-win streak against Michigan that there were several games that ended with calls that they didn't like, and so some of the same.
That's always true. And I feel like the sports world has kind of, for the most part, They're still like a loud minority, but for the most part, most people realize what you just said. Is that bad calls happen.
Yeah.
Like we don't actually think that refs are in the bag for anybody. Like it's bad calls happen. They happen throughout the season. They happen for your team and against your team, and that's just a part of the thing.
Yeah. I think the bigger story really is it's not so much that, I mean, people knew Michigan would be good this year. People knew Ohio State would be good.
Mm-hmm. I think both teams were the best version of themselves within the past 3 years.
Well, I mean, for the most part, we don't have the same quarterback that we've had for a lot of the last.
But
years,
I mean,
but overall, I think the defense was much better than they have been recently for Ohio State.
Exactly. I think if you put Stroud onto this year's Ohio State team, they're unstoppable. But those things didn't sync up.
And I'd still love to see a 12-team playoff would have been really interesting this year.
Yeah.
Knowing, but that's part of what's going to be weird in coming years is that is the Ohio State Michigan game even going to matter? Because in a year like this,
not like this,
we're both going to be in the playoff anyways.
Yeah. Here's the thing for Michigan and Ohio State fans, and you've heard the talking heads talk about it, but it's true that there's the idea of the game, Michigan-Ohio State, being an all or nothing game. That setup is over. This was the last year that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what we're seeing with the sort of Big Two between the Big Ten and the SEC is a lot of years you're probably looking at 3 or 4 teams from each of those conferences potentially making a playoff.
Easy.
And then a handful of whoever else is good. And so this year that might look like Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State all making it. Mm-hmm. Even if Iowa were to beat Michigan, then maybe you'd have Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State all making it.
But also with the expansion of the Big Ten, like right now, there's 4 teams in the top 6 right now.
Yeah, and
of Big Ten or will be Big Ten next year.
Yeah, which is crazy because you've got Oregon and Washington that are both ranked right now. It's crazy. So I think the people that you can have whatever opinion you want. Anyone who says Ryan Day should be fired, I think is wrong. I don't have a problem with you wanting him fired, but I think you better have a good idea who you want in that spot if you want him fired.
Yeah,
because a lot of good programs have had a lot of bad years with knee-jerk reactions to somebody who's basically 50-something-1 against everybody, but in the regular season, it's like 54-1 or something crazy.
Well, 3.
Yeah, that's true. I think some of the statistics they take out playoff and Michigan losses. So it's like if you look at the regular season.
Well, they do now.
Yeah. So the idea being, anyways, Ryan Day pretty much beats everybody other than Michigan and so far. And the same was true of Harbaugh before the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. He wasn't beating Ohio State. So I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the playoff in the coming years and the added teams and basically the Big Ten and SEC running the playoff is how that's going to look going forward. So there won't be as much on the game. That'll be interesting. But you'll be fighting for playoff spot, depending on how they do, where the games are played, and are they going to all be bowls? Is the first round going to be a home game? It'll be interesting to see how some of that checks out.
Is that a dumb question? Is that a side effect that we saw all along? Like, did we realize that this playoff method and expanding that to bigger teams would take away those?
That's been part of the discussion over the years.
Okay.
People who are against the expansion are saying you're going to do to college what happens in the NFL. In the NFL, nobody goes undefeated in the NFL. But that's kind of besides the point. But what you realize about the NFL because of their playoff situation is that each individual single game doesn't have a lot of weight on it.
Okay.
You can afford 5 losses.
Yeah.
Easy, and still make playoffs. And now there's a whole heck of a lot more teams that will be playoff eligible. And so 5 losses isn't going to get you in, but But you're still looking at, I mean, there's going to be 2 lost teams that are in the playoff. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe even a 3-loss that gets in at the end if they've got big losses. We had a mini version of this conversation when Ohio State set up the Big Ten set up divisions. And that was essentially, well, you can't put Ohio State and Michigan in the same division because then they'll never get a play for the Big Ten title against one another. But if you put them in opposite divisions, are they not going to play every year? Or are you going to guarantee that they play every year? And then what happens if they play every year and then meet again in the Big Ten championship?
Yeah.
And they play twice. So you had kind of a mini version of this conversation that they just went, who cares? They're in the same division. So next year, the Big Ten will not have divisions.
Yeah.
The Big Ten championship game will just be the 2 highest ranked
1 and
teams,
2.
1 and 2. So this year, what would have happened is Ohio State and Michigan would be playing,
Would play again in a week.
assuming that Washington, Oregon weren't there yet. We would be playing.
So
again.
if the scenario was Michigan and Ohio State are both 11-0 going into the game, they are, no matter what happens in the game, they're going to play each other again in exactly 1 week.
Right.
So you'll still have in-state rivals, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases. You'll still have traditionally historical rivalries, but they won't mean as much.
No game will mean as much, but like those, you'll feel how much less it means. So that's what people are.
It'll be
are
a
sort of
palpable
afraid of.
feeling. Yeah. It's not all riding on this now.
Yeah,
it's you're still in.
If you're not one of a dozen programs in the country right now, one of the top 10, 12 that are always in rotation for the playoff, if you lose one game, you're out of the playoff.
That's true.
If you're Ohio State or Michigan and lose one game, you're probably still in the playoff discussion.
Yeah.
And so it's going to make it a lot more fair. And really, I think what will bother more people is if you see the same 4 teams getting into the playoff over and over versus getting a little bit of variety in a 12 team and new matchups that haven't been seen before. And, 3 Big Ten teams, 3 SEC teams, and then a variety of ACC, Big 12, a school from, the American, a school from Sun Belt, whatever.
You're right.
So I think you'll get a lot more new, interesting matchups, even though there's less weight on individual games. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I like the playoff thing. One of the things that I love about the playoffs is it means an undefeated Boise State will get their shot.
Yeah.
Which is
they'll probably be the last seed and have one of the toughest pairings typically.
Yeah, but they still have their shot.
But at least
you still
they're
get to
in it.
answer the question of what if.
Yeah. Were they in it? You'll still have the debate around the rankings and are they fair? And
the reason people
so-and-so
like March
should have been.
Madness.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think it'll be
Cinderella
fun.
stories,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. So we'll see next year if it is. And it'll be really weird. I mean, if you start looking ahead at some of the team schedules for next year in the Big Ten, I think Michigan plays Washington, Oregon.
Michigan's schedule is
Pretty decent. They still have
They're
Northwestern, Indiana,
Yeah.
a couple of those teams, but they have like Ohio State, Washington, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan State. So like, Michigan plays a pretty good slate next year. But again, if they lose 2 of those really tough top 10 team games, they're probably still in the playoff.
they would probably still be okay.
Yeah. So it's not going to punish you that bad if you lose.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be a different world, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
I'm
something
excited that there's a conference championship game that's like 2 future Big Ten teams. Like it just, in my mind, it's like the Big Ten is going to win 2 championships this year.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like the timing of Washington and Oregon getting better,
Going
like,
off the charts. Yeah. Well,
Right.
Oregon is one of those teams that's always kind of there, and then they kind of peak like every 3 years or something like that. Washington State, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they're there now.
And the
Or not
SEC's
Washington State, Washington.
The SEC is not going to be any easier with Oklahoma and Texas in it. So.
USC is coming back. UCLA has turned into a solid team. They're not in Ohio State, Michigan, but they're in Iowa, right?
Yeah, they're going to be a great. That's the fun thing. Like you're used to any of those teams being down and not having a great year is still going to play some great games with Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Penn State, depending on who's better in a given year. Like the Big Ten had a really good start. You might get like a 9-2 Indiana that's playing a UCLA team that, like they're playing at the end of the season, and you're like, all right, this is a pretty decent matchup. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I'm excited, and the game was great. I had a really good weekend. I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing? I'm doing all right.
Speaking of
Cool.
celebrations we can be excited about,
Yeah.
have either of you noticed longtime friend of the show, Ludacris, in the State Farm commercials?
Doing great. I'm glad he found some work.
So proud of you, Luda.
That's really
You're
good.
killing it.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to be a guest, come on the show, promote, plug anything you want. You just let us know, man.
I think he's got some content on YouTube. If you go, make sure to subscribe to our page. We link to his page. You can find him that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And check out some of his stuff. Yeah. I think that'd be nice.
I'll tag him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tag him on this.
He'll be happy to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Thinking
have
about 'em.
you guys have good Thanksgivings? We usually do a debrief on the foods and the fun and the festivities.
Mhm.
Anything worth mentioning?
Well, the food is always delicious. Our neighbor had extra Costco pumpkin pies.
Oh.
And this is always a hot topic for anyone who's in the know on these pies, because basically for $6, you get a massive pie that's way better than probably almost anything anyone is cooking at home. You would need a real baker who really focuses on pies, in my opinion, to
Probably using Kerrygold butter. And
probably
The good
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah. You would need a really good baker to consistently churn out the quality of pies that that Costco's doing for $6. So they had an extra one, dropped it off at our house. So we took one to Thanksgiving. We're able to send all those leftovers home with family. Had an extra one, split that with more family, and I literally had pie for days. Not this saying,
Wow.
this for days, like literally
Actual days.
actual pie for days. And so that was a freaking highlight for sure. And we've started some Christmas movie watching, which has been fun. While we were enjoying our pie. So yeah, things good. Enjoyed a nice long weekend. Slept a little extra. Cleaned out the garage very manly. Got the garage very, very clean. Spick and span.
It's
You
a
could
good feeling.
eat off that garage floor. I never would, but you could eat off it if you wanted. And
it's
so-
clean enough that if you were to drop one of them Costco pies on the floor, you would pick it
It would be a
up and-
friend situation, and I could just grab a fork and eat it right,
Absolutely.
right
Yep.
off the floor. Yeah, throw some whipped cream on it while it's down there, and then eat it. So yeah, it's good. It's like we moved into our house a little over a year ago, and so it's the last couple places we're trying to go back through and reorganize and
Right.
tidy up. The garage was one of them.
The garage kind of tends in a move tends to be the throw in the garage.
Catch all.
And ours was never bad, but it certainly, as my dad would say, it would give me hives when I looked in certain parts. And our basement storage isn't that bad either, but I know it's like I gotta there's some stuff I can pull out of there and rearrange and reorganize. So that'll be good. That's what I did.
Wonderful.
We have begun a tradition that my wife likes to go up on Wednesday night and stay with family at the house that will be hosting Thanksgiving and help the host, the woman of the house, prepare food for that day. Which gets a little tricky when there's a lot of people also staying there, and it gets, where does everybody sleep becomes kind of the situation.
Yeah.
My good friend Matt, who married our cousin Haley, said, "Hey, do you want to try something a little adventurous and try our hammocks in the woods? Since you need a place to stay anyway, your family can stay in the house, and we can try hammocking in our all-season hammocks."
Yeah.
So we tried that. It was 29, maybe 32 degrees the first night and like 29 degrees the second night. And that was a lot of fun, I have to say. Thinking about... spare all the details with this Hennessy hammock that I got, but there's a layer underneath you where they recommend, hey, if you're going to use this in winter, shove your jacket and your snow pants and your extra blankets in that layer beneath you, keep that cold air off your back, and then you've got a 32 or 32 degree rated, or let's say 0 degree rated sleeping bag. So in theory, you should be pretty cozy, which we were. It was... People were like, "You're not going to make it the whole night." We had a fire back there and slept in the hammock. So that was kind of a fun adventure. Ended up doing it 2 nights. Good time with family. We had 3 Thanksgivings, and there was one side of the family that we didn't have a set thing with, but we still ended up having 3. Good quality time, and enjoyed every bit of it. And our lights were already up. Our Christmas lights were already up, so I didn't have that to do the weekend after Thanksgiving. And now it's just finished decorating the tree, which my family is doing tonight. And we're in the full Christmas spirit now. It's a good time. Got that Lego Home Alone house built and set up next to the tree. So that's my Christmas village. That's just a wonderful set. You got it first, Dillon, and you were saying how fun it was to put together. There's so many little nods to the movie, little pieces and components in that build that are like, oh, they even put the fill in the blank in there. So that's kind of fun.
It's amazing. Lego continues to do that well. I felt the same with the Office set.
Yeah.
And I've got the Friends and the Seinfeld set, too, that I'll build eventually that I'm sure I'll feel the same way. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Before we get into streaming, Kendall, I don't know if you have anything else, but I told you guys about this Instagram feed that I'm enjoying watching, Cringe Hub. Yeah. And it's I don't know. I've been sending you guys a few here or there. I really try not to forward all of them, but just to give you a taste of what that feed is like, I've sent a few. One that happened the other day is a men's singing group singing. It's a Gen Z singing group. They're singing to the tune of Hallelujah by, is it Rufus Wainwright? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, it's Leonard Cohen.
They're singing to the tune of that with a bunch of Gen Z terms. I think I'm going to go ahead and save all of those for our end of year wrap up that we do on this show. But it got me thinking about another trend that I'm seeing online. So I don't know where this started, Dillon. You can help me because I know you're aware of it. Apparently, at some point, a wife says on TikTok, "Did you know how often our boyfriends and husbands are thinking about the Roman Empire?" And other people are responding like, "No, that's not real." And then that person goes and says, "Hey, honey, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?" "At least twice a week." And they're like, "What?" And so there's this trend now where females are asking their significant others how often I don't know if we're making it a thing or guys are catching wind that it's a thing and they're just like messing with them and giving comical answers. Have you guys seen this? Question 1. And question 2, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
A little. I've seen a few videos. The one of the best that I saw was this guy very quickly responds. She asks the question, almost cuts her off at least 7 or 8 times a day. And then starts rattling off things that he's pretending that. And my brain is so skeptical of every reel and every video. I assume all of them are scripted for the purposes of getting eyeballs to make money. So I assume that almost nothing is real. He probably doesn't. But it was funny how he quickly and convincingly he responded to that question. So I've seen a couple.
Yeah, you said he was like, at least 7, 8 times a day. Formations, who the different leaders were.
Yeah, I think I don't think people realize how often video games and movies are Roman Empire adjacent in their themes. And so it's not necessarily because guys are thinking about things that a teacher told them about 20 years ago. Right. It's like they're thinking about an Assassin's Creed game.
Exactly. They're thinking of a bare-chested burly man with a giant sword.
Yeah.
Like that's 300 was Roman Empire, right?
They just watched Gladiator. They just... whatever. They saw a Roman column on a thing and it made them think of a game. And then they started wondering, like, I wonder how many soldiers would have defended a garrison and, against the Celts in Britain. It's that. Then it just like they think of some random question. So that's where it is. It's not that they're like closet academics.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not academic thinking. It's just imagination.
Well, and not that it doesn't go there sometimes, but it doesn't probably ever start there.
Right.
It's starting from like, oh yeah, I had I saw a dog and was named Roman on a TV show, and then that
Yeah.
made them think Empire, and then they're like, I wonder if Caligula had dogs.
Exactly.
You guys are familiar with dogs, right? Well, Dillon, I think you made the comparison that the Roman Empire to guys thing is the girl math to girls thing.
Yeah.
And you shared it with us on one of our group texts, and so the equivalent of it, I'm going to butcher it. We'll just share it from our page, and we can see if the female middlers agree or disagree. But it's like it's a woman explaining to her husband the ways that she justifies purchases. Like if she returned something, the money that she got back from that is free money because she already had the thing.
Right.
Yeah, you can return something and get something of equivalent value for free
Right.
because you've already spent the money. Or if you have cash in your purse and spend it, you never spent money.
Right.
Because cash is not real.
Yeah, and it's like
not on your credit card.
It's like a dozen or more of those, and the husband is like in the background going, "No, that's not how it works."
Yeah, he's going like, I gotta pull up, our whatever money software and figure out what, And again, I assume all of that is just to get under guys' skins and be funny and not actually real. But I would be curious if anybody watches that and go, yeah, no, that's really how I budget.
I could see in a psychological way of like, well, we weren't hurting financially after I bought this thing, and so
Yeah.
I can spend the money after I return it. Like I can see that game. I would play that game with myself psychologically for sure.
I think one that bothers me frequently, and I don't know that any of the videos have like said it, but like a discount is only a good deal if the item is still worth the dollar amount at the end. It doesn't matter if jeans are 80% off if the jeans are $95. Like if you wouldn't pay $95 for jeans, then that's just not a good deal. Like it doesn't matter. I can artificially raise the price of this Earn Brew to $999.99 and say it's 99.99 whatever percent off and sell it to you for $2. If that's that's one of those things that I know people get really hung up on. Well, it's 80% off or it's 70% off, and it's like
what gets me is with food, and because if you're going to eat it and you got it on sale, then it made sense.
Yeah.
If it's going to go into the freezer and they get thrown away in 3 years, you just threw money away.
Right.
You didn't say. I know it was on sale, so that's one of the ones that really gets me. And then for me also personally, it's legitimately. I don't know what the dollar value is, but it is worth money to me to have things be simpler and not cluttered. And so like pantry, fridge, freezer, if I don't have to stuff things into the freezer, I'm willing to forego the good sale price to not put something else in my freezer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I was going to go to the opposite ends of Dillon's jean example. It's like 80%, and let's say it's $2, but if you wouldn't wear them, then it renders it null and void.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if it is a good price, if
know
you're not going to
people
wear
that-
those jeans, you threw away $2.
I know people that buy stuff that they wouldn't otherwise buy because it's such a great deal. And it's like, but you wouldn't have bought it before.
Right.
Now, I do have an idea that I think might come in handy, although it might just entice people to spend more. And maybe this is dangerous. I do think that every house should have a bin hidden away for only the owners of the house, that when they get things as gifts that they know they'll never want, or there's an incredibly good deal on something that you're like, somebody else would want this. I don't necessarily need it, but I know that there's somebody throughout the year that would want this. I think those things should all go in a bin, and when it's a gift, you put a Post-it with who gave it to you on it.
Yeah.
And then that bin is your gift bin when you need a bin for things.
For white elephants.
And it's a white elephant. Or you forget about a birthday and you're like, oh, this is a really nice ceramic coffee mug. I didn't need it, but, oh, my other cousin gave it to me. No, I need something for, my uncle. So I'm going to take this and put it in
on the
bag
other
and-
side of the family.
Yeah, on the other side of the family. Yeah,
Which is why
exactly.
you put the post-it of who's
Who
going
get it. So I think every house should have that bin.
So
and it can
create
come-
your
come
own
in
thrift
handy.
store / Ollie's /
That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
or
Lots.
you go to Costco and it's the 97 cents thing, right? So if you go to Costco and something is 0.97, there it's a clearance.
Right.
And it's like, oh, these are $40 leather gloves that are $4.50.
It's a great idea.
I don't need them, but I'm going to throw them in the bin because for an office gift or a white elephant or a family thing, this is a really nice gift for somebody.
and predetermine how big that bin is allowed to be.
Yeah. It doesn't, you go get one plastic tub from the store and it's like, that's what.
And at some
can go.
point, you need to have a hard and fast 1 in, 1 out policy,
Yeah.
and
even with the junk bin.
That's why it's a limited
and
size.
if you're not,
yes.
if you don't have a good discernible, if you don't have good taste in gift giving, you should know yourself well enough to go, the bin's not for me to buy to put in. It's for my spouse who I know will put nice things in it that I like. I'm going to go in there and put in like, but this bottle of ketchup was so cheap and it's bacon flavored. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody will want it. Maybe.
I tell you what, like, I don't know if this makes me a monster, but there are times when in my adult life, when I would go back home to my parents' house for Christmas, and we had this whole thing with 3 Christmas trees, presents under each of them. We would get a lot of stuff. And it wasn't like expensive, exorbitant stuff, but
Sure.
just like a ton of just like little things, like nail clippers, right? Or like another like cheap screwdriver set, just like the one you got last year. Like those kinds of things.
Yep.
And even at that point in time in my life, I had this aversion to having too much stuff. And so literally there were years where I would go there and celebrate Christmas with my family. On my way back home, I would stop by a Goodwill and literally unload almost everything.
Not a monster.
It's not. I'm glad that doesn't make me a monster to my family. If they knew that,
Kendall.
most of them. There's one of them that listens, and she doesn't. She understands. But it's one of those things where it's like they would be offended by it. They would think it's wasteful and ungrateful and all of those things. Even though like I would tell them every year the disclaimer, like, you don't get me anything. Like, I know you people say that, but like you don't need to get me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just don't get me anything. And I tried to lead with that because it used to be like 3 trees. Each person got everyone else at least 3 things. And so one year I just declared, I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. There's going to be a mom tree. I'm getting one gift from mom that's going underneath that tree. There's going to be a dad tree. And there's going to be a sister's tree. My sisters are getting gifts under that tree. And now I'm doing 1 gift per person. I encourage you to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nope.
I sometimes wonder that with the cost of inflation between like sibling exchanges or family exchanges, and the dollar amount stays $20 and it's been $20 for 17 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, do any of us really not just already buy ourselves everything under $20
That's
at this
exactly
point?
how I feel.
Like, are we just exchanging gift cards too?
That's
so
dude,
so
we
if we're
just-
not. And I'm guilty. I ask for gift cards myself. I do it all the time. I'm just saying at some point we either need to up the amount a little bit and agree to like give ourselves a little more wiggle room, because there's only so much I can do at Aldi and Great Buy. And
we just did the name thing at Thanksgiving. We put everybody's name, and then you draw names. But what they do is under their name they write Red Lobster gift card, gloves, and Yahtzee, whatever. And there's only 3 things in there. And the person who draws the name isn't beholden to the 3 items they put, but they put it in there for a reason. What do you want for $20? And so me and my cousin just go like, you know what? And so we wrote, whatever you think of when you think of me, I would rather, because chances are if it's under $20, I already own it.
I can't wait for the Rosola art set that you get. Rose art.
But it's like, I would almost rather have the person's thoughtfulness, not like you're good at seek and find games.
Right.
Because you went to a place that had that $20 thing, or you went to your local Kroger and found a Hobby Lobby gift card.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm with you. I think I'm agreeing with you. Like, it feels like, why are we doing it then?
Or it would be fun to just say, like, let's all just take off 4 years, and on the 5th year we'll do $100. How does that sound?
Or say
and
whatever.
And now we can really, for 1 year every 5 years, we'll go crazy. And and then somebody's like, I'll get you a big huge thing of steak and seafood shipped to your house on ice because I've got $100, or I'll get you,
Or after everybody writes down their 3 to 5 things, you go, you're now not allowed to buy them that thing. You now have to think of
There you
something
go.
else.
Yeah, shake it up. So if you get a gift, let's say you've got a limit of $50. Let's say you go out, you even find the $50 thing at like $20. Are you still buying more to fill in the gap, even though you found a good sale?
That's a wonderful question.
Or are you like, hey, you wanted a $50 thing. This is the $50 thing. I found a good deal. I pocket it. What do you do?
This is girl math.
I was just going to say, this is girl math.
I don't know if it is. I think most people do the first and say, you're just going to get more because I happen to find a good deal on this thing. I'm going to still spend $30 more because it's available towards your $50. But I think there are probably some people who go, nope, I just found a good deal.
I think there's a lot of people, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Should I be punished that I'm good at finding deals?
Yeah.
I think most people are probably more generous during the holidays. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the second option. I'm just saying I actually... Normally, I think very little of people. I think this is probably a situation where most people go, no, yeah, I found a good deal and you're going to benefit from it. So I'm going to keep shopping. I think people like to do that.
But the pressure's off on what you're going to spend the rest of the $30 on.
Oh,
Would you
sure.
feel that way?
Yeah, because if it's like if you wanted a video game for $50 and somebody got it on Black Friday for $19.99, then it's like, I'm just going to go find whatever.
Here's $30 worth of pens.
Here's some digestives, or you could use them.
So
Here's a
Dillon,
couple cases.
Cookies.
Is your Ollie's bucket or your Odd Lots pouch or your thrift store basket?
I don't have one.
It's basically just a garage sale pile with tags still on it.
No, because I think the spirit of it, and that's why I said I got to be careful because people don't rush out and buy junk. The spirit of it is it's not Goodwill, stop at home at Goodwill and chuck it in the bin on the way home stuff necessarily. It's like somebody actually got you something nice. You just didn't really need it.
No, that's my point, because if it's in your garage sale pile at your house, it's too nice for Goodwill.
Yeah.
You plan to make a few bucks from it. So I'm saying it's stuff that you thought is nice enough. It just still has the tag on it.
Right. Or like maybe somebody gets you a really nice like Nike hat of a sports team that you like, but it's just not a style that you would ever wear.
Right.
And you're like, well, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is a $40 hat. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'll just wait till I know somebody else is a fan of this team and gift it to them.
There you go.
You know those little games that you see in line at Target? It's like Pass the Pigs or like I've gotten those so many times and I'm like, we're never going to play it.
Yeah.
So it either goes in our game pile cabinet or becomes one of those gifts that I'm like, I got you this game.
In a similar vein,
Pass the Pigs is very
this is
fun, by
something
the way.
other people should do. So we started we actually do have a bin for all the kids meal toys, and we're just going to start giving that as an option for Halloween or come time for a lot of churches do the Operation Christmas Child, the nicer stuff out of those toys, donate it to our church.
There you go.
When the time comes and just say, hey, here's a bunch of like cool cars and stuff that we found in the leftover kids meal bin. This is stuff other kids might want, but our kid didn't need. Sure. And so we do have a bin of kids meal toys that are still wrapped and stuff that we have.
Hey, is there anything critical in streaming this week?
Critical?
Or can it wait until next week?
Critical.
Oh, it can always wait. There's nothing.
In that case, you know what gifts you won't want to put in Dillon's bin? Gifts from Artiest Man. Any guy who's
Never
a guy
lather it on.
who likes being a guy and wants to look and smell like a guy is going to love products from Artiest Man. And if you act now, you can probably still get your Artiest Man gifts before Christmas. So I highly encourage you. Yes, I'm talking to you, Midler.
I hate it when they put the Christ back in
If
Christmas.
you like us and if you want us to have a good Christmas this year, then you will go to artiestman.com and you will fill up your cart with men's grooming products.
Tiny Tim needs a bass boat.
He sure does. And a new sneaker. See what I did? See what I did? Because he just has to. Hey, so go to artiestman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com and fill your cart with those amazing men's grooming products as well as soy woodwick blend candles. They sound like a little fire in your house, but it's not a real fire.
They are. Well, it is.
It's a fire. It is literally a little fire, but
Wow.
it sounds like one. It's got crackles and wood and everything. You're going to love it. They smell amazing. Fill your cart with all that stuff. Use promo code THEMIDDLE. That's THEMIDDLE, THEMIDDLE, all one word, all caps at checkout. That will get you 25% off of said order and will make the man in your life very, very, very happy. And you will be happy because he will smell so delicious that you will want to kiss him.
Yeah. It's going to make him...
jeez.
It's going to make him spongy and squidgy.
Yeah.
You'll be glad that he is.
You guys.
So, well, that one.
That went from fun to awkward and weird.
That's how we do.
Real quick.
Yeah, so a normal episode.
Par for the course.
Well, maybe next week, guys. Those of you who just jumped in since July. We'll try again. A little teaser. I'm back on board with WWE. So.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Let's do that. We have so much to talk about. Okay.
Love you.
Next time. Bye.